All right, welcome back to the program. In case you're just joining us, it's COVID-19 Watch Moneyline with Nancy segments. Earlier on, I did say we'll be looking at COVID-19 and your money. Joining me right now is Sola Adesakin, who is the founder of Smart Stewards, to look at this topic. Hello, Sola.
Hi, Nancy. How's it going?
I'm very well. I like your broad smile this morning. How are you doing today?
I'm very well. I'm in a great place. Thank you.
Yeah.
How are you doing too?
I'm well too. I'm also in a great place. You know, what I have found out this period, or perhaps I used to know it, but I affirmed it more, is that I need to speak to myself in a very positive manner. You know,
right.
Say words of affirmation and all of that. It's not taking away from the reality. It's not about you don't have money in your pocket and I say, no, I'm a million richer. No, it's about putting your mind in a great place, less anxiety and all of that, which this pandemic has fostered, you know. So that is also what I reiterated more during this pandemic, you know. So
right.
Yeah,
right.
so I'm in a great place.
Awesome.
Let's take a look at also being in a great place. Part of being in a great place is having good financial health. This COVID-19 or coronavirus pandemic has shattered a lot of lives. Apart from those that we have lost, those that may have passed on, a lot of people are suffering financial turmoil right now. As we are right now, even if you don't contract COVID-19, you must have been impacted by the financial turmoil. Sola, is there any way, does one really prepare for this pandemic? You know, does one really prepare for this kind of shock? Because when we were taking a look at the beginning of the year, you put your budget, okay, these are things I want to achieve this year. I don't think coronavirus pandemic was on the list and how to prepare for it.
No, it wasn't.
Yes.
No, it wasn't. Okay, so thank you, Nancy, for having me. Earlier on, you said I was happy yesterday. Yesterday was my birthday, so I am still relishing in the, in the excitement and all
Happy
of that. Now,
birthday,
when we
Sola.
talk, thank you, Nancy. All right, so yes, in the world of personal finance, we do tell people to prepare for the rainy day. Now, the rainy day will be days like when you lose your job, or you suffer like a mishap that affects your health or anything. But usually at most we will say, yes, save and prepare your emergency funds. The most we will say you should do with your emergency funds is to have about 6 months of your cost of living saved aside. But the pandemic has showed us that even if you have saved up 6 months of your cost of living, it might not have sufficed. Now, I've been telling people in recent times who have been saying when Corona ends, when we are in post-Corona, and I'm like, no, Corona ended in the sense of financial planning even before it started. So you did ask a question that could we have prepared? Yes, for those who would have taken the advice of financial experts who would have kept aside emergency funds. Now, the question we should ask ourselves is that these funds that I put aside, did it suffice this period of the pandemic? Was I in a good place, in a great place with my family? Did the money last, even though the emergency funds was meant to, or is meant to last for 6 months? Okay, so there are two categories of people. People who did not anticipate that something like this would happen. And it is needless for me to say the disruption was global, worldwide. The rich felt it, the poor felt it, everybody is still feeling it, okay? So the first question is, did you have an emergency fund before the pandemic started? If you didn't, category 1. Category 2, did you, okay, so category 1 is you didn't have. Now, category 2 is you had an emergency fund. Now, for how long did this stretch? Did it meet your family needs? So I take it back to your question. In the world of financial planning, if you do truly put aside something, no matter how shocking events may be, you still have a cushion. So it might not be much, but you have a cushion. And we cannot overstress the importance of emergency funds. You must always keep something aside. And when we talk about emergency fund planning, there are two aspects to it. Dave Ramsey, one of my mentors, would say that have a starter emergency fund. For those in the US, he would say have $1,000. But I tell people in Nigeria, how many people are able to keep 360K, now about 400,000 aside as emergency funds? So I tell people, depending on the size of your family and some other circumstances, your peculiar situation, put aside something that you know that in case of an emergency, you will be fine in terms of sustenance and survival. And sustenance and survival is about food, is about shelter, right? Necessities. So start an emergency fund for me, relative. You have a family of 4, maybe 100K, maybe 200K, saved somewhere in a liquid savings fund that you can easily draw down on. Now, the other type of emergency fund is the fully funded emergency fund, and it says keep aside 6 months of your cost of living. Now, when we say cost of living, I'm not talking about you want to pay for things that are not necessary, what I usually like to call nice to have. I am talking about need to have. We all know, especially people who have children, in this pandemic, a lot of us have spent so much money feeding. So cost of living, cost of transporting yourself, and the basic needs. So have 6 months worth of that. And I can assure you that COVID or not, disruption or not, shock or not, you will still find yourself in a better place much more than those who do not have emergency funds. So we could actually prepare by having something saved aside, no matter how small.
What happens when those emergency funds get depleted? Because some people may have gotten that emergency funds, but it may also have been depleted during this pandemic. And some may have lost their jobs along the way or have reduced income. So what happens?
Okay, so what happens when your emergency funds is depleted? I like the scenarios you played. Some people depleted their emergency funds, they still have a job. They can go back to their job, they are getting their salaries. I have been telling people this COVID period that, see, there are 3 enablers of your financial success. The first thing is knowledge, the second thing is technology, and the third thing is collaboration. And these 3 things would help you make, manage, and multiply your money better. So I've been telling people now, this is not a season where you can rely on one source of income. There's a book by Robert Kiyosaki, The Cash Flow Quadrant, and it says that you can make money from 4 different quadrants: as an employee, as a self-employed, as a business owner, as an investor. So wherever you are right now, I think it is time you start to look around for how you can start to operate in other quadrants. Now, let me quickly talk about, of course, we know employees, you exchange your time for money. Self-employed, you exchange your time for money as well, but you have more control. Now, business owners are those who are leveraging on other people's time, other people's resources. They have businesses. Okay, so whether they are there or not, the businesses are working. Now, but traditionally, yes, you will think about having a mortar and brick business, a large conglomerate. But I tell people, as long as you can collaborate with people, either through affiliate marketing, either through selling other people's products, either through making money in partnership, you are a business owner. And it doesn't have to be brick and mortar. So for those who have depleted their emergency funds, those who have lost, their jobs, you need to look out for how you can make more money, how you can improve on your sources of income, how you can learn new skills. Remember I said 3 enablers: knowledge. Now, COVID has trusted us into a knowledge economy. Everybody must be learning. Conventional ways of doing things have changed. So yesterday was my birthday, like I said, and we had a Zoom meeting. My mom could not log in because she had issues, logging. She didn't really understand technology. Okay, so this is a season where you have to learn new things that you are not familiar with. The world has gone virtual. If you are still saying, no, internet is bad, internet is evil, internet is a distraction, then you're not ready to make money. So you have to diversify your income sources, either by looking for another job, either by deploying and monetizing your gifts and talents, either by partnering with people. I partner a lot. Right now, I have about 2 or 3 companies that I am an affiliate marketer for. What does that mean? They're selling their products. I make myself as an informal marketer to sell for them. You have friends who do businesses. Be a marketer and you earn a commission at at that basic level. And then as you grow, there are other opportunities depending on your financial situation and your stage in life. You can market, in an affiliate manner for people. Now, the whole thing, as I wrap this particular point up, is you must leverage on knowledge by learning new things. You have to learn new things. You have to go out of your way. If you have to start a business by learning a new skill, you have to do it. Now, you have to leverage on technology. We have seen that the money is online now. Okay, so this is the time to also up your technology game at whatever age, if you want to be relevant, if you want to make the money. And then the third thing is collaboration. They all tie into one another. You must be able to do businesses with people. You must be able to form partnerships. You must be able to do alliances. I have developed a couple of courses this season. I have worked with experts and professionals in different fields. We are giving value in exchange for value. So if you have lost your job, you don't have money, you can't sit at home and expect that more money will come to you without you doing anything. I like to say that money gravitates towards value. Wherever there is value, there will be money. Whenever you are able to provide solution, there will be money. So the question you need to ask yourself is, what can I do in the immediate to provide value? I've seen a lot of people who have started to monetize their talent. Some people who didn't know they could cook. Right now, they're starting to cook because this season has shown us that the basic needs of people are very important. Look at Mile 12, the popular Mile 12 market in Lagos, Nigeria. It used to be, and it is still, a physical location. It has been, as far back as I remember, Mile 12 has been a place where you can buy so many things. During this pandemic, they leveraged on technology, and I was getting emails. We can deliver whatever products, whatever items to your house. Now, if Mile 12 could go digital, if Mile 12 could, move things around so that they remain relevant and their folks continue to make money, then everybody can do so. So acquire the knowledge, leverage on technology, collaborate your way into getting money. Somehow it works.
I like this analogy which you just, it's not analogy, it's a real-time stuff, talking about Mile 12, because also during this pandemic, I like grocery shopping, I must say. I like going to the market myself physically to see what I need to buy. But because of this pandemic, because of the lockdown, and because of, like I told my colleagues sometime, that I have never, the kind of way I worked this pandemic is like times 1,000 times, so I had to leverage on people, on things like that, to say, okay, fine, can you help me deliver this from the certain market? And I saw a lot of people enter those businesses online. I never knew them. I just gave them money based on trust, and they delivered those products to my house. The issue about what they delivered is another ball game, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about in terms of
I know.
getting value for money. But that is another business avenue, or that is another way of getting money. The question right now is that this pandemic, which is a black swan event in the world, often leaves people rethinking their financial goals. How do you think that personal finance has changed, over this period? Because some people used to think that personal finance used to be for the rich and the wealthy.
Right. Okay, so thank you, Nancy. This is very interesting. From my own experience as a personal finance coach, I launched a course during this period, and the response was phenomenal. And the course was about digitalizing your diamonds, how you can look inwards, how you can monetize your talents and your knowledge. And for the first time since I have been teaching courses, a lot more people subscribed. I recorded a lot of videos on financial literacy. You see that the engagement on social media is higher, on YouTube is higher, on Instagram. So I think that COVID has also trusted us, like I said, into a knowledge economy where people are willing to acquire more knowledge. So you see a lot of, at the earlier days of the lockdown, there were loads and loads of webinars flying around. Everybody was attending a webinar. People were, doing webinars and all of that. But at some point, I told people, you need to be careful so that you don't become knowledge constipated. Because more often than not, Harvard is doing a free course, you are there. This is doing a free course, you are there. Everybody is, you are there. And at the end of the day, you just suffer a mental burnout, a webinar burnout. So I in my opinion, I think a lot more people are sensitized to embracing financial literacy, which is the very, very first step and most important on the journey to achieving financial freedom. So there are 6 quick points I would like to mention. I may be wrong. Some people may think, no, people are not really eager. But I think from a bit of survey here and there that I have done, people are more sensitized. People are more interested. Within my investment club, people are asking, what can we do? A lot more people are interested in the information. Now, I tell people financial literacy is key. If you want to maximize your finances, attain financial success, you must be literate. Now, imagine somebody who doesn't go to school. With all due respect, the way they think sometimes, I think education refines our mind. And that is what financial literacy does to our money mind. But again, I've realized that a lot of people embrace financial literacy, but it comes in and goes out. Okay, so people are not applying some of the things that they learn. It takes me to the second point. Achieve financial literacy, but seek to become financial intelligent, because intelligence is what will help you apply the knowledge, the literacy that you have had. I like a quote by Robert Kiyosaki, and it says, intelligence solves problems and produces money, but money without intelligence is money soon gone. So it is not enough to save, budget. You must become knowledgeable and intelligent by applying those things. Now, number 3, we all know IQ. We all know emotional IQ. There's also financial IQ. And I like this definition by Wikipedia. It says, financial IQ is an ability to obtain and manage one's wealth by understanding how money works. Profound. Ability to obtain and manage one's wealth by understanding how money works. So, first thing, financial literacy. Second thing, seek the intelligence that comes from financial literacy. Number 3, seek to improve your financial IQ. That means you understand how money works. And it's not caught. It is taught, and you need to learn it. Now, when you become intelligent enough, you can then start to plan. You can plan for now, you can plan for the future, you can plan your cash flow, you can plan your investment, you can plan for taxes, you can plan for retirement, and a whole lot more. Now, when you plan, then you can now start to act. And when you act, you're on your way to financial freedom. So I call it financial literacy, financial intelligence, IQ, financial planning, financial action point, and then financial freedom. So again, as I wrap this question up, I think a lot more people are embracing financial literacy. But let's do more than just hearing and learning how to save. Let's make sure that these things are working for us. Let's make sure that we are applying them. You are making yourself accountable. So I learned that I need to save and budget. I really, really implemented it. And make yourself accountable. I was talking about collaboration earlier on. If you have to form mastermind groups with people, 2 or 3 people of your friends, if you have to be in an investment club, if you have to just set up systems that would help you ensure that these things that you're learning, you are practicalizing it at your level, whether at the level of, guys, let's save 5,000 together every month. It might be, guys, let's save 50K. Guys, let's save 5 million. Whatever level you are, you must put to work, put to play, put to practice all of these things that you learn, because that is when it will become effectual, and then you will see it happen. But I tell people again, attaining wealth, building wealth is not a sprint, it's a marathon. A lot of people want to just quickly make wealth, and that's why we fall victims of Ponzi schemes. It's a marathon, one day at a time. If you're able to save 2,000 from 20,000, you will save 20,000 from 200,000. You will save 200,000 from 2 million. So take it one day at a time. The most important thing is you are applying those things that you have learned, and you have established systems that would help you accomplish that.
How can one really arrange investment assets at this time, because the pandemic is a shock. that we are all still suffering. Like I still tell people, I say we are not just in post-COVID, especially here in Nigeria. We're still doing, we are still in a crisis. You know, so we also need to get into a crisis mode in terms of even managing our finances. So how can one arrange, you know, things around investment? Yes, you know, because you said, okay, fine, you said, let's put some money in the emergency fund. If your monies are also depleted, try to, you know, put them back. But how do you arrange? Some might have bought stocks, some might have bought bonds, some might have, you know, because I can imagine people thinking, watching now, said, okay, should I sell my stocks? Is this the right time to sell? Apparently, it might not be a right time because the market is on the downside. And some other things, you know. So how do you arrange all that now?
Okay, thank you, Nancy. So part of financial planning is what you call investment planning. And the quickest way I can answer that is you need to understand the 4 asset classes that exist. You have cash and cash equivalents, you have equities and stocks, you have real estate, and you have, what's the 4th one now? Fixed income. And then you have alternative sources. So you need to understand, and I usually like to tell people, and I think I mentioned it when I came in January, 4 things to determine what you would invest in. I call them SGAR. Your personal financial situation, your goals, your age, and your risk temperament. Now, you can't do things because everybody is doing it. Now, going back to your question, let me use SGAR to quickly, you know, paint a scenario. So if you are, say, 50 and you are not working, your financial situation is such that you are not exactly liquid. Now, what are your goals? Your goals at 50 might be, okay, maybe you still have 1 or 2 children in school and you have retirement ahead of you. So your goals will be to have money in retirement and to send your children to school. We already know your age as 50. What is your risk temperament? Are you moderate? Are you conservative? Are you aggressive? So the most important thing is your financial situation. How much money do you have? That will determine what you can do. Cash and cash equivalents would include things like mutual funds and treasury bills. Right now, we all know that treasury bills and mutual funds are not doing so well. The rates for this asset class has fallen way below inflation rate. I don't need to mention that, Nancy, you know. Single digits. That means the value of your money in a couple of months it would have gone down. So our cash and cash equivalents, very, very fantastic. Well, I'm not saying no, I'm not saying yes. Whatever you have will determine the kind of asset classes you should invest in. But I tell people, if you have loose money, before you spend it on anything that you have not planned for, just go and put it in a mutual fund, an open-ended mutual fund. Yes, the rate might be low, but rather than keeping it in your savings account where you're not getting any interest, just keep it there whilst you think of what to do. Now, that leads me to the second asset class, fixed income or bonds. Now, fixed income, especially like the Nigerian government bonds, are longer term in nature. I mean, recently they did the Sukuk bond, which was going to return, I think, about 11-point-something% and for a duration of maybe 5 to 6 years. If you have a goal of sending a child to school in 5 or 6 years, that might be fantastic. If you're planning towards retirement, that might be fantastic. But again, the rates may not be exactly, fantastic, but they are better than 2% or 3%. Now, talking about the equity market, we all know what has happened before COVID and all of that. The equity market, of course, is high risk and could be high return. But I must say that if you want to trade in the equity market or stock market, you should be ready to be in it for the long term. Equity is not, I bought at 60 naira, I sold at 80 naira after 2 days. I mean, that's not investment. That's trading. So your goals and whatever it is you're investing in equity for to determine whether you should go into equity or not. If you want to have investments for 7 years, for 8 years, go into equity, talk with a stockbroker, talk with an analyst, let them advise you on the type of shares to buy. I know that during this pandemic, there were a few good shares in Nigeria that, came really low. I bought a particular share for 1,300 last year, and I was so happy because it used to trade at 1.5. And then this year, during this pandemic, it came down so as low, I think, as 800 or below. Now, did I fidget? No, I left it there because when I was buying the shares, I knew I was going to hold it for so long. So when we talk about real estate as well, it depends on what your goals are. But right now, I think play between cash and cash equivalents, fixed income, and then alternative investments like agriculture. In Nigeria, you have a couple of good agricultural companies that are crowdfunding to provide, and they're doing really well. Some would say 10%, 12% for 6 months, which is fantastic in my opinion. But be sure you are doing it with the right set of people. Another thing I would really like to add is edging against currency devaluation, which unfortunately has happened. I remember the last year I was telling people, invest in dollars. Right here in Nigeria, there are a couple of asset management companies that are offering dollar-denominated investments that you can start with a minimum of $1,000. I told the people within my investment club, and a whole lot of people changed their money. Now, they bought the dollars at 360. Look at it today. Instant capital appreciation. So as you're thinking of your portfolio, think about some of these things. The liquidity, how soon are you willing to, or would you be needing the money? Okay, so think about the long-term aspect of it. I mean, keep something for the future. Yes, keep something for the immediate, and just maybe talk to an expert so that you can have a good and a healthy portfolio. As I wrap up, I would say, if I were the one planning this, I'll put just a tiny bit in cash and cash equivalents. Not too much, so that when I have need for cash flow and my sources of income are not doing so well, I might get a little. I'll do a bit of 5-year bonds. I'll do Euro bonds because they're dollar denominated. And then I'll do alternative investments, like invest in agriculture. I'll look at agricultural, agro-allied industry. I'll look at industries, a couple of companies that are really, really IT enabled. I'm not saying go and get a farmer if you have the energy, but there are companies who are working with 50,000 farmers, and they would say per slot, 100K for a rice farm for 6 months or for 9 months will give you 12%, 14% after. That is way higher than what the traditional treasury bills and all of that would give you. So that's what I've been doing. Agro-allied, a bit of cash and cash equivalent. Equities, especially in the US as well. There are companies, there are apps in Nigeria with which you can buy equities in America, around the world, global market. So those are some of the things you should consider. But again, it's a function of how much you have to invest and for how long.
Let's, okay, at this point, for those that are watching us and you want to ask your questions, please feel free to do that. Go to all our social media platforms. On Facebook, we're there. On Twitter, you can buzz me right now at Nancy. On Twitter, we're also there, Moneyline TV. Send your comments. On Facebook, we are Moneyline with Nancy TV on Facebook. So send your comments now so that Sola can definitely answer all your questions. We are here for you today, COVID-19 and your money. Please pad up. There's no Owambe again, because I remember in January we were talking about Owambe, parties and co. I know that industry is suffering, those in events management. But what this pandemic also brought to light is financial discipline, and there are a lot of things that you can do without, isn't it, Sola? Especially for those of us that are women that think, oh, okay, without this we can't survive, without making our hair, without grooming. I'm not saying we shouldn't groom. I love grooming. But there are some things that you can even do by yourself. So this pandemic also reiterated that there are some things that are essential and non-essential, and you're spending money. I'm not saying those in those businesses, so please forgive me, but you know what I'm talking about. Let's get out of the pandemic first.
Right, I know. So I think you nailed it already, financial discipline. I celebrated a milestone birthday yesterday, and I was just glad that, I shouldn't say that COVID happened. I wasn't glad that COVID happened. But you know what? I had a virtual meeting where, family and friends and loved ones called in. We were all on Zoom. I even said with a touch of white. And it was a beautiful event. My mentors were there, everybody, my dad, people were there from all over the world. And what did it cost me? Data money. You know what, Nancy? I believe that, I had so much joy and fulfillment, even much more than what a physical party would have done. That's my opinion. And I'm like, well, we could continue things like this. You have people doing weddings, Zoom weddings, where they have just the parents. Of course, you can't have more than 20 people. But they can broadcast it. So my own party was on Zoom yesterday. I broadcasted it to my Facebook group. A lot more people from Canada, from the US and everywhere watched. And we were all happy. Now, how much did it cost me at the end of the day? The most important thing is, was I happy? Yes, I was happy. I was fulfilled. For the first time, and then people were able to participate. When you have physical parties, I'm not saying do not have physical parties, but your falls overseas can be there. But this one, the world is such a small place. So I think we need to also prioritize. COVID is teaching us to prioritize. Like I mentioned earlier on, you need to prioritize. If you have children at home, you would understand what I'm saying. They eat breakfast, they are eating pre-brunch, they eat lunch, they are eating so food must always be at home. Your rent is important because, especially in Nigeria, trust me, unlike the Western world, where they are saying, okay, you will give you a moratorium for 2 months, don't pay rent. Nigeria landlords, I'm sorry to say, they are sending you the letter, pay rent. So a lot of people right now are in a in a bad state of mind because they'll be like, it's my house, you have to pay rent. So prioritize the things that are important. Your children's education, the dynamics are changing. Schools are not opening, but sometimes beyond the school calendar, you can log on to sites that will teach your children stuff. You can just find a way. Those things are the most important. And your health, of course, your health right now. Yesterday I was discussing with a couple of people and I'm like, I haven't watched the news deliberately in recent times, but I heard the figures are increasing. Right now in Lagos, Nigeria, where I live, everybody has thrown caution to the wind. People are going out, and I'm like, hey, this COVID thing. So people are going out the more, people are, we really don't know what is going to happen in the next few days. So this is a time to prioritize feeding and your immunity. If you have to take more foods, so food at the end of the day is critical. Those things that are basic to survival and sustenance are things that we necessarily need to prioritize this season.
You know what, Sola, thank you for saying that, because I was actually also coming to that what will be the #1 priority for us even as we battle through this pandemic. And when I was thinking through this topic over the past few days, that I know that you are going to be here on the show. In fact, I told myself, I said, Nancy, the #1 priority or the #1 valuable asset which you need to safeguard right now is your health, because health is wealth.
Right.
So we should safeguard our health first. That we are fighting a pandemic, you need to, boost your immune system, do a lot of things that will boost your health. Your health is an asset, isn't it? Because if you don't have good health, how do you enjoy the money, or how do you enjoy other things of life? So I like that you brought that up. Health is wealth. #1 valuable asset you need to safeguard. Safeguard it jealously. One of those things, when you're going out, wear your mask, wash your hands, sanitize, protect yourself, protect other people. And I like that you brought up this issue of Lagos. Because in fact, someone called me, was it 2 days ago, and said, Nancy, you need to see Lagos. That's no compliance. And I said, why is it that way? So you can imagine the rising cases we are seeing amid perhaps rising tests. But let me go over to this question, because I see a lot of people are also sending us questions, but I'll come back to them in a bit. How do couples right now maintain financial health? Because it is a very difficult one for couples. It is a very difficult one for marriages right now. In some marriages, they don't even have the money talk. Or when they come to the money talk, you see gbas blow up and down. So
I know.
How do couples maintain their financial health right now? How do they protect their finances during this crisis? What can be done between the husband and wife to safeguard their children's education, food, which is essential, and all of that?
Thank you, Nancy. Beautiful question. So during the earlier period of the pandemic, I got a lot of messages by email, in my DM, people saying my husband, wife, because we had an extended time of staying under the same roof. A lot more things came to light. So during that period, I put together like a free ebook. If you go on my social media page, you can download it. And I wrote a free ebook titled Your Money, Our Money, My Money, which I call Yum Money.
I like that.
Your money.
The husband's money is our money. My own money is my own money.
Exactly. So your money, our money, my money. The acronym is Yum Money. And I explained a few things that are applicable to now and even post-COVID. See, the #1 thing you need to do as couples is to communicate. A lot of couples do not communicate when it comes to finances. So I understand that, sometimes, the dynamics for different families are different. Some people, I'm sorry to say, might be going through some form of emotional abuse or physical abuse, so they're not entirely transparent with their couples. But you need to understand you're married. But I mean, since the question is how the couple, so I assume that there's a high level of cooperation, there's a level of intimacy, there's a level of togetherness of mind. So communicate your goals. In that book, free book, by the way, I discussed 7 key points. And I said, one of the things, which is, I think is number 3, is communicate your goals together. As couples, I mean, I'm sorry, I know this is TV, but if you guys have intercourse, which is about the most intimate thing, why would you not talk about your finances? Finance is a very, very critical area of marriage. And if you look at the statistics, a lot of times, financial issues is one of the things that lead to divorce. Okay, so but that's not for today. So we talk about communicating and discussing your goals. Example, how many children do we have? And this should actually start before marriage. So we have 3 children. What are their ages? We want our children to go to Ivy League school. It is not Ivy League school. It is not when they are 15 that you start to plan. If your child is 5, you want him to go or want her to go to Harvard. This is the time to start planning. Like the investment plan I gave earlier, this is the time to start putting money in bonds. I run a junior club for children, and these are some of the things that we teach parents. This is a time to put together a financial plan or an educational plan for your children. Okay, so financial goals. Number 2, understand each other's temperaments. When I first got married, even though I was a chartered accountant, I'm still a chartered accountant, I realized that my background impacted the way I saw finance. I was a spender, chronic spender. And my husband, who is more conservative, who is a saver, would say, but you are the accountant, you should understand things better. I realized that the sanguine in me was, a little more, took a hold of me. I could go and say something nice, buy it, whether we needed it or not. So understand your spouse's temperament. Okay, this person is a little bit impulsive. Okay, and that leads me to the 3rd point. The better person with money should manage the family's finances. Remember, we are talking about togetherness as a couple. If your husband is the better money manager, why? Don't be like, no, it's the money with the children. Sometimes if your husband can plan groceries, why not? In my home, we interchange. Sometimes my husband is going to say, okay, groceries, okay, so I got this, okay, I'll do this on my way, I'll stop. Let the better money manager do the planning. And then the next thing is that joint account or project account. I don't, people ask me questions. Should we do joint account? Should we do project account? In my home, I do project account. Now, joint account is I earn my salary, you earn your salary, put it together. In most cases, one person is not disciplined. You just realize that joint account, money is finished. So I say project account. We have projects. What are our projects? Rent, this and that. Okay, or who is handling who? Some people will say, I will handle school fees, you handle groceries. Do whatever works for you. I remember a movie that I watched, the Joneses. I can't remember
Keeping
the
up with
title.
the Joneses.
Exactly. Can you remember those couples?
Yes.
A new couple moved next door,
Yeah.
and they liked the lifestyle, the cars. They didn't realize they were assassins. So sometimes a lot of us, you're looking at your neighbor, the new car, the new shoe, you don't know what is happening with them. So let's not seek to keep up with the Joneses. So plan your finances, discuss joint account or project account, whichever works for you. You don't have to use another couple's template. And then I also talked about children planning. But you see, all of these points would come down to communication. This period, this is a time to say, okay, guy, this is what you are earning. This is what I am earning. What are the necessities? What are the most important things? What are the needs to have? Let's put phones together and face the necessities squarely. Because this is not a time to say, we want to buy. If it is not exactly important, right? If it would not, I say more often than not, this season is a time to beef up your assets. Assets are things that have the potential of returning economic values to you. So if you're buying something, you're like, hey, this COVID period, hey, is this necessary? Would it make more money for me? It is up to you to answer. Okay, so this is not the time. So you guys sit together and say, what are our needs? I do this. In the last 3 years, we plan our finances. We know what is coming in. We know what is going out. We know into what it is going. And then it fosters trust. Nobody is thinking in their hearts, oh, okay, so this person, what is this person doing?
Okay.
So you need to also understand yourselves. Okay.
Shola, let's quickly take a few comments. So many are coming in. Let's see the ones we can take. Dom on Twitter says, okay, we'd like to get your social media handles. We'll get that. My social media person should be able to do that. Jaye Lomo says, what will artisans do when it comes to saving money with this price increase in materials to render services to customers? What should artisans do?
Well, yes, I know artisans are people that live on money that comes in by the day. And unfortunately, the prices of basic things have gone up. So artisans will probably have to do more. But one thing I do more to make more, but I tell people that, you see, do not use the excuse of, oh, I am earning so small and I don't think I can save. Part of financial intelligence is you knowing that if you're earning 10,000 a day, still keep 1,000 aside. I've realized that, pardon me to be a bit religious, money has this spiritual thing about it. When you save it, when you practice these principles, you just realize that you're able to keep more and more money gravitates towards you. So as an artisan, I know that, yes, business is, you're not even going out. How do you even make the money? But now that, the restriction has been lifted a bit, how can you make more money? But in all of it, still ensure that you are not eating with your 10 fingers. Okay. You're keeping something aside,
Okay.
by the day.
So many coming in. Matthias Sado says, Nancy, did your guest actually say she advised people to change their naira to dollars and invest? Is that not detrimental to our currency? I would love her to clarify this, please. I understand what he's saying. That are you saying we should change our naira to dollars to hedge? Meanwhile, the CBN is saying no, don't do that. So clarify.
Well, right. Last year I did say change your dollars. Your naira to dollars. Of course, those who did, the naira has been devalued. It might not be a good time to maybe change naira to dollars right now, but overall, having some of your portfolio in foreign currency is wise to hedge against currency devaluation. However you can interpret that, it is left for you to do so.
Okay, let's take other comments. Can we just quickly put that some on the screen? I'm seeing Timothy says, this lockdown has really been helping me to work on my financial skills. I'm a student in my year 3 and advancing my skills on trading, but need to broaden my financial view to do more. Okay, so Bria is saying, shed more light on cryptocurrency. The one I'm getting, cryptocurrency, okay. Are you a cryptocurrency fan?
I am not. Warren Buffett says, whatever you cannot draw out on paper, don't put your money in it.
The same Warren Buffett says, if invest in what you know.
So that's why I'm coming. I personally have not understood the principles of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I tried to do forex trading at some point. Some people swear by it. I lost money. So I do not currently understand. My financial IQ on cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is still very low. Maybe sometime in the future, when I'm able to assimilate the knowledge, I might be able to answer questions on that, and I might be able to say, yes, go this way. But as a personal finance coach, I put my money in something that works. I'm able to help people. But just because I want to gather clouds or just make people feel happy, I won't tell them to put money in things they do not understand.
Okay, please, I would like Shola to further explain how one can invest in Eurobonds from here in Nigeria. That's coming also for you.
Oh, of course. Eurobonds just simply means you are investing in a currency that is different from yours. The asset management right here in Nigeria. If you assume the person asking this question is asking for Nigeria. So, just go online and say, how can I invest in Eurobonds in Nigeria? The asset management companies right here in Nigeria, I don't want to mention names, that do that, and you can invest with them, yes. Yeah.
So you definitely need to seek those companies out. Do we have more comments? We have. Okay, how can someone, this is coming from Adobe, how can someone invest in foreign exchange or foreign investment? Please throw more light. And which company can help you in Nigeria to achieve that? We've just answered that question, I think. It's still part of it.
You can buy stocks. You can buy stocks, American stocks, US stocks from right here in Nigeria. There. Go online and say, how can I buy shares in America from Nigeria? How can I do Eurobonds from here in Nigeria? How can I, when you say foreign exchange, are you talking about Forex? Just go online. The answers are there, like so many answers will come to you as soon as you do.
Arch Brown says, your guest is beaming it's a light to what I was thinking. Thanks for the thoughtfulness. Thank you. You know, just putting this to show together, like, enough of all this pandemic thing, the economics of the pandemic. I think the first economics of the pandemic is how it affects our pockets. You know, that's why we had to do this show today. Let's see if we can get, okay, this is coming from Babs, Professor C. He said, I just got to 30K salary, that is 30,000 naira salary, and more and subsequent more. How do I leave the poverty syndrome Nigeria I found myself? You know, just before you came on, I did say Nigeria, India, and DRC, out of these 3 countries, we control now the third of the poorest, according to the World Bank. This person is saying he's just got a 30K salary. How does he leave that poverty syndrome?
Okay, so number 1, embrace financial literacy. Simple. Seek to know more about how your money can work for you. Read books. I love books. This is a book I'm reading. I'm an author of about 8 books myself. I just released another book yesterday. I read. The more you know, the more intelligent you are. From that 30,000, please make sure you're saving at least 3,000. Open an open-ended mutual fund. Cultivate the right money habits, and then have a good attitude. Nancy, remember where we started from? You said, how am I doing? And I said, I'm in a great place. Okay, right mindset, right affirmations, you know, so work on your mind. I know 30K is really small. As a chartered accountant, my first job was 7,500 about 19 years ago. Okay, so it's life is in phases and seasons. You will get there.
You will get there. Thank you very much, Sola. I think that's the much we can take. The discussion is always interesting when we come to personal financial issues, but we'll take you again on another time. So thank you very much, Sola, for joining us on the show.